Gavin, what does it mean to you to be an Indigenous Australian?
It means a lot. It means that there's a relationship between me, my family, and the beginning of this country. Beginning of time, and all that goes with that. The pride, the culture. So yeah, it means a lot.
You mentioned that word pride, but have you always been proud to be an Indigenous Australian?
It's a funny story, my story around that, because for a lot of my childhood I didn't know. I've never met my father, so it was through a chance meeting with my grandmother, and it came to me that I was an Indigenous Australian, and I felt like it meant something. I felt like that was that missing part. So yeah, it was quite exciting.
How important was that discovery?
Really important. I was sort of in a point where I wasn't really sure who I was, and it gave me substance, and an understanding of why and who I was. Yeah, and it makes me. I'm a really proud Indigenous Australian.
Back in 2009, the NRL introduced Close the Gap Round. It's now the Indigenous Round. Does it take on extra significance, given what we've seen around the globe with the Black Lives Matter movement, not only in the US but also here in Australia?
Yeah, definitely. And as a sport, it's something that was accepted pretty much straight away. And you saw players taking a knee before games when we come back to play, and to recognise and acknowledge our culture from a sport that you love. I'm very proud to call myself an NRL referee, and say that I'm employed by the NRL. The Black Lives Matter movement, I think, is one of the most important movements we've seen in a long time. Hopefully, we can continue to press that and push that.
Not only have we seen yourself be outspoken about a lot of social issues, but Indigenous players seem like within the game they're finding their voice.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that those young, and you've got to think they're still young kids as well. They're reasonably young kids that feel strong enough and feel supported enough by our game that they can do that. And I've got no doubt there's been players in the past that wanted to do that but wouldn't have had the same support. And may have lost their opportunity to make change because if they had spoken out. The flip side to that is it shows, and we've seen on social media and it's been reported, that there is still racism in this country. There are still people that want to attack those young kids for speaking up and standing up, and trying to do the best for their people, for our people, for this country's people. And you still get people want to jump on social media and attack a young kid for voicing an opinion, for being proud of who he is. That's the most disappointing part of it. Until we end that part of it, we've still got a long way to go.
The message around this year's campaign is pass back, move forward. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, the start of everything is we can't forget what the past was. You often hear people say, "Oh, you just need to get over it. It happened back then. No one alive now had anything to do with that. Move on. We can just, why can't we just move on and forget about it?" I spoke earlier about stolen generation. That was only one generation ago. People are still living and feeling that pain. There are people that don't know their grandparents because they were taken away. There are people that don't know their family bloodlines because it was taken away from them. It wasn't lost. It was taken from them. It was stolen from them. So until we can look back and forgive and recognise what the past was and the pain that people felt in the past, you can't heal that pain. But the notion of that we need to pass back to go forward, it's exactly right.
As an Indigenous man wanting to be a referee, especially as you got to the more elite level, did you experience any racial vilification any time?
Not myself personally. Like I said, I don't have that typical look of an Indigenous Australian. I was, for lack of a better word, fortunate around. I didn't receive it, but I heard a lot of it because people felt comfortable saying things around me because they didn't think that, and as a young kid, especially coming through, you keep quiet. I won't be keeping quiet anymore. That's one thing I've learned over the last couple of years.
When you look back at those days, does it eat you up?
Oh, massively.
Knowing some of the stuff you heard?
It's not even that long ago. There are times not that long ago where, where you hear a joke and you think it's funny and stuff, but then you think about it later and you go, you know what, that's probably not right. And I wish I'd have said something back then.
So what's your message to anyone watching this that is out there that thinks it's still okay to racially abuse anyone?
Yeah, it's not. It's just not okay. It's just not. You just never know someone's mental state at the time when you say something as well. And that could be the one thing that can push someone over the edge. So you just got to understand that, words hurt. Some people say, "Oh, get over it, it's only words," but they hurt, especially when it's been hurting for, centuries.
And a lack of education isn't an excuse now?
I don't think so. Not anymore. we played that off for too long in this country. And we just said, oh, well, we don't know, or he's just old school. You know, we get that a lot. Oh, he's just old school. He's got an old school mentality. He doesn't understand that that's racist. Well, you know what? We need to change that, because otherwise, when is it not old school? You know, when is it time for change?